You are the author of your deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the author of your decree. Therefore, you have your dreams, but your dreams will ultimately, every single time, be overtaken by His decree. And so while you're authoring your own story, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may have an entirely different story written for you, but you're still told that you have to write. So the Google Doc is there, you're writing what you can, and then a chunk gets deleted and it goes this way. A chunk gets deleted and it goes this way. And to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belongs the highest example. But if I was to ask you about Yusuf alayhi salam, we all know the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, and we all know where Yusuf alayhi salam ended up. He ended up on the throne. He ended up not just as a noble prophet, but as an example of forgiveness, as an example of grace, as an example of perseverance. Immortalized in the Quran as this prophet from Bani Israel that is not immortalized because of his da'wah, but is immortalized because of his example in the face of his own tribulation. And da'wah, of course, emanated from that. I want you to imagine if you were having a conversation with Yusuf alayhi salam before Yusuf alayhi salam was thrown into the well. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there is no lineage more noble than the lineage of Yusuf alayhi salam. A prophet, the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet. He is Yusuf, ibn Yaqub, ibn Ishaq, ibn Ibrahim. When you talk about someone that's destined for greatness, Joseph, the son of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Talk about a legendary lineage. Talk about destined for greatness. Talk about having it all, quote unquote, handed to you as far as the spiritual hall of fame is concerned. You are the example of all of those examples that came before you. It culminates in you. Think about the pressure on Yusuf alayhi salam and imagine what you would have thought his trajectory would have been if you met him before he was thrown into the well. Like you all are familiar with LeBron and Bronny, right? As far as basketball analogies are concerned. The pressure on being the son of LeBron James and having to try to live up to that. And you're never going to be great enough, nor will you be bad enough. You're always kind of stuck in between. Or you're the brother of Steph Curry. You're Seth Curry. I feel bad for the guy. You are always in the shadow of someone greater than you. You either take what has been gained and become greater, or you disappear into that shadow. And you're always going to be deemed insufficient because you haven't lived up to the example of the one that came before you. When you look at Yusuf alayhi salam is not a disappointment. In fact, out of all of the children of Yaqub alayhi salam, Yusuf alayhi salam is the one who clearly is destined for greatness. He's clearly the chosen child. He's clearly the one that's going to carry the torch and that's going to gather all of what has come before him. And when Zakaria alayhi salam made dua for a child, he said, يَرِثُنِي وَيَرِثُ مِنْ آلِ يَعْقُوبَ وَاجْعَلْهُ رَبِّي رَضِيًّا. Let my son inherit me and inherit from the family of Yaqub and make him to you, O my Lord, pleasing. The idea was that if you give me a son, O Allah, you give me a child, I don't just want him to have my greatness or what I have attained. I actually want him to be able to gather a greater spectrum of knowledge and piety, the legacy of the prophets that came before me as well. I want him to have the wisdom of Bani Israel. I want him to have knowledge of all of that which came before. When they say the parent wishes that their child would surpass them, and this is not true of any other human relationship, at least at the natural level, there are exceptions to that rule, but the parents are different. This is culminated in the dua of Zakaria for his son Yahya. That I want him not just to gain what I have, but to gain what all of the prophets of Bani Israel have had. And Yahya alayhi salam did not disappoint. He had the knowledge of the Torah. He was the scholar of all scholars, as far as the prophets were concerned, in terms of the prophets of Bani Israel. So he used Yaqub as a starting point. What then, when Yaqub looks at a son of his, or when he looks at this son of his eye gleams with such love and such promise that the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam look at him with envy, not because of the unfair treatment of Yaqub, but just because the distinction of greatness was so obvious.